We start from Mem Vavam and Bais, Amar Huna.
Which
46b, right at the bottom of the page. We're up to 4 lines from the bottom.
Okay.
It starts with Rav Huna says, Diktish v'achal loike. Talking about a child that's 12 years old, that we said he has a special halacha, even though he's not bar mitzvah. 1 year prior to bar mitzvah, he can take a vow and he can also sanctify. So what happens if he takes a vow or he sanctifies something and then he goes and violates? So he's not bar mitzvah yet. So regarding one law, though, he is bar mitzvah. There's one law that he's already bar mitzvah for. So it says over here, according to Rav Huna, he gets malchus. He was mocked or something, and he ate it. He gets malchus. Anyone that's able to take the vow has the prohibition not to violate it. Or if he sanctifies something, you can't profane it. It's Rav Huna's opinion. Masav Rav Huna bar Yehuda l'siyuei l'Rav Huna. I don't know what they mean is add in the word loy. I'm not sure what the loy would do. But the Rav Huna, maybe we take out the Rav. Rav Huna bar Yehuda asks a question. It goes like this. And maybe it's a proof. Massive is usually a question.
Massive is no explanation.
I know, but it's
tough in the shin reversible.
Don't use that against me. No, it could also be a retort, which doesn't have to be an answer. It could be a question. It's a response that we go to Bais. It says, because we find now we're directly on top of page 46b, because we find that the pasuk compares a child to an adult, l'zadayin shvua ule'isr ule'bal yachal, for an oath, for taking a vow, and not to profane his a sacrifice. The Bais asks, maybe if he has all of these laws, he should also have to bring a karban if he misuses what he sanctifies. It says this is the matter, which means there's no karban. Very interesting. There's no karban, but what does that tell me? That means that he is obligated for the prohibition and not to profane. It means at least there'll be a negative prohibition, which should incur lashes. Maybe it's not a real proof anyway. Why? Because l'isr bal yachal is just telling us that he violates it, but there's no punishment. It says isr bal yachal mi manavshach. Which way do you want to look at this? If you want to say that the halachas that we're talking about, that a 12-year-old boy or an 11-year-old girl are able to take a vow, and that's a biblical prohibition, restriction, then milkanami lilki, then there should be malchus there. And if it's not a deraisa, it's an amilaka. So then it should only be rabbinic, and you don't say that it's an isser. My answer is it's really still no proof, even though you just brought out a good point that it's either a deraisa or a derabanan, and make up your mind. But actually, what we're saying is that he could take the vow, but it doesn't mean that he's not allowed to violate it because he's too young. So he takes the vow, and there are people that are responsible for him that they're not allowed to feed it to him. If he took a vow, he's not going to eat, or he's not going to, hey, you're not going to eat this, he's going to go on a diet. And so then the people that are responsible for him, his parents, are not allowed to then go and directly cause him to violate an isser, which is a restriction on the parents. Chinuch is like I guess on the parents, that they have to make sure that he doesn't violate those
And
prohibitions.
this is what age again?
12.
Just from 12 to 13
Yeah.
for the boy.
Yeah.
If you know he's not going to bed before 10 o'clock every night, you have to make sure that
If he's 12, they should try to make sure. But it really has to do with food items mostly. But
He's gonna eat ice cream.
That's a father question.
Good question.
Can he give himself? What are our rules?
Give yourself a chocolate.
Shema Mina, but we see from here, Kat Neichel Nevelas Bezin, Tzivin Alav Lafishay, that it's machlekes. If a child is eating things that aren't kosher, is the Bezdin or other people obligated to make sure that he doesn't? Or do they say, look, it's not my obligation?
he's a young
I don't know what the status is yet. So I think
why, how does that?
what we're talking about here, the Bezdin, I think, is just a general term for the community, as opposed to you're not allowed to feed it to him. The question is, you definitely can't feed it to him via dayim, but you have to stop him if he's eating it on his own. And here we're saying that there's an isser. Well, what comes out? Who's the isser on? It's on the other people that have the ability to stop him from committing the sin. What's the sin? Is his own oath. So we see from here that other people are obligated to stop him from sinning it, from eating something that's not kosher. For him, it would be a vow. We're not talking about a regular vow anymore. This case would be referring to only one specific area where, you see,
It's a famous,
no. That he takes he makes it sanctified and other people can't eat it. So it's not about feeding it to him anymore. It's nothing to do with him. It's other people can't eat. They have to keep holy what he sanctifies. That's what we're holding right now. In other words, we really don't have any proof for Rav Huna's din. Rav Huna's din was that he becomes a total bar mitzvah for these laws. And if he takes a vow, he would get punished for violating it. Now we're saying that no, that has really nothing to do with this. If he takes a vow, not a vow, if he sanctifies something, others would get punished if they violate.
But Katan patur b'kol hamitzvot.
Right. Right. So Rav Huna has this chiddush that because he's able to take a vow and make a vow and it becomes deraisa, so therefore he also has to keep the halachas of the vow. So the Gemara now says that this only fits according to one opinion. This only fits according to the opinion that says that if a child makes something hektish and other people eat it, they get malchus, then we'll understand that. We had a question here, should he bring a carbon? But according to the opinion that says there's no malchus for what a child sanctifies, what is there to say? The itmar, as it was stated by Amiraim, he sanctifies and others eat. So it's a machlekes between Rav Kana and Rav Yechon Reish Lakish. Rav Kana mar ein leiken, Rav Yechon Reish Lakish tamar tavayu leiken. Rav Kana says there's no malchus, and Rav Yechon Reish Lakish say that there is malchus. I always wonder when I see Rav Kana together with Rav Yechon Reish Lakish if this is at that moment. There was for a little while where Rav Kana had moved to Eretz Yisrael. Rav Yochanan was sitting on the 7 cushions, and Rav Kahana was told by Rav that he shouldn't ask any questions for 7 years. And every time Rav Yochanan asks him a question, they remove one cushion from him, so he'd end up sitting on the floor. Rav Kahana says this must be in corresponding to the 7 years, and so now I'm allowed to ask. So he asks questions to Rav Yochanan, and they remove cushions from Rav Yochanan. And then at the end, Rav Yochanan's on the floor, I think, and lifts up his eyelashes. He sees that he was laughing because he had a cleft palate. So it looked like he was smiling. And so Rav Yochanan felt insulted, and Rav Kana died. So the next day they went to revive him, And on the way back, after they revived him, the whole story with the snake around the cave, but on the way back, so people told Rav Kana what was going on in heaven while you were there. So he looks at them and he died. So after like one or two people, he says, "What? I came to Israel to kill people." So he went back to Babel. So maybe this conversation, Rav Kana, Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish, maybe this is a record of one of the conversations. I don't know, unless it's different Rav Kana.
So Rabbi Yochanan was in Eretz Israel.
Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish were in Tiberia. So where's the cave? I don't know.
I don't know.
So basically, Rav Kahana over here says that there's no malchus for someone violating an oath of a child. Now, so according to him, how are we going to explain this? So the Gemara says, Midrabanan, Kras Machta Balma. The truth is that he holds that this whole discussion of Kiyafli, that if a child, a 12-year-old, takes an oath, makes a vow, or sanctifies something, that's only of rabbinic origin. We had a pasuk. Says no, that's just an asmachta. We have a major machlekes about a child's oath, if it's rabbinic or if it's a biblical has a biblical severity. Gufa. We learned before. This is how we restate something that was mentioned by Amirai. We introduce it by the term Gufa. Gufa was taught before that Hikdish Vachlo Acherim Rakkanam Ein Laikim. If a child sanctifies something and other people, adults, eat it, which that's like a misuse of sanctified item. So Rav Kana says there's no malchus for that because it was only sanctified by a child. Right? Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish say that there is malchus. The Maika Miflagi, and what is the argument? What's the base? What's the fundamental difference here? So Mar Savar Mufla Samach Lish Deraisa. One of them holds, which is Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. They hold. Curious if it says master in the capital. This master says. This master holds that the Mufla Samach Lish. That he takes a vow that's next to what says it next to the man, which means that with 13-year-old is the man. Mufla Samach Lish means he's a 12-year-old. So that takes a vow that's deraisa. Marsav Mufla Samach Lish midrabanan. One of them holds that it's a derabanan. That's the way we were understanding this. Must have Rabbi Yirmiyah. Rabbi Yirmiyah has a question. Yisaima shenidra baila meifila.
Yeah. Sorry, going back. What was the scriptural source for his opinion that he would obligate himself?
Rav Huna?
Yes.
Rav Huna said that anyone that has, it says, Ishki Yafli Lindar, and the pasuk concludes, V'layachal Devarim. If a man will take a vow, he cannot profane his vow. Now he says, what's the Ishki Yafli? It includes even a 12-year-old. So therefore, if the beginning of the pasuk is including a 12-year-old, the end of the pasuk also includes a 12-year-old. So he can't violate his own vow. Yafli tells me a 12-year-old.
That's where you learn it.
Yeah. It's the Gemara says mufla samach lish, which somehow means the someone that's close to being a man. Almost, but not yet. Here we have a 12-year-old, not a 12-year-old. I'm sorry. We have a girl that's a Yasaima. She's under 12. She's a young girl. Her father passed away, and her brothers married her off. So Baila Meifila, her husband can annul her vows, just like a regular husband.
She's between 11 to 12 or before 12? 11.
In between 11 and 12, in between 11 and 12 would be the time that she could take the vow. In between 11 and 12. After 12, then things get complicated. Then she's able to, what happens to the marriage exactly? That's a little complex. But right here, she's underage. She's taking a vow. Her vow is 100% valid. Is it a deraisa or is it a derabanan? It depends which rabbi you ask. Rav Kahana would tell you it's Derabanan. Rabbi Yechon Lakish would tell you it's Deraisa. Is she married? Rabbinically, yes, but not biblically. So her husband is only a rabbinic husband. Her vow is a biblical vow. Who can annul, according to one opinion, who can annul an oath? Only a real husband can annul his wife's. So this is our predicament over here. The Bishleim Amaplasamachish Derabanan. You see, if the father would marry her off, then that would be a biblical marriage. Because the father's not here and the brothers are marrying her off, it's only a rabbinic marriage. That's when the laws of Mian apply. So, if we say that the whole thing is a derabanan, so us and the son derabanan, vatling it derabanan, her rabbinic husband is can annul a rabbinic vow. This is like someone saying he didn't put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin, so he says, but I have until Rabbeinu Tam Shkia to put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. So Ella Iamrit Deraisa, but if we say that it's Deraisa, that in other words the vow is a Deraisa, Asun Derabanan Vatling Nid Deraisa. So a rabbinic marriage which has this relationship is only a rabbinic spouse is going to be able to annul a biblical oath, according to that opinion, that it's that a girl who's 11 can take an oath biblically. So that's a question over here. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Baila Mefer Lami Manavshah. The husband can annul the vow either way you look at it. Either Abanon, either it's rabbinic, and the Rabbanon, and he's also a rabbinic the husband, so he can annul the vow. Deraisa, if it's a deraisa, they'll cut nechel nevelas. Vein doesn't mitzvah love lafrishu. What do you care? It's only a child, and the bezdin's not obligated to stop them. So let it be like it's annulled. It doesn't matter. The bezdin doesn't have to interfere anyway. The Gemara says, "Whoa, 1 second. Doesn't end right there. Even if you'll say that, but she will become of age, and her vow was a biblical vow. The husband didn't annul it. Maybe you say it doesn't matter to you that it's only a child anyway, but she's going to be an adult and she's going to continue violating the prohibition that was never annulled." The husband has to constantly annul it every hour. I guess that means within every 24 hours, right? He has until. How does it work? You can annul it until nightfall, or you can annul it for 24 hours. I forget what the rule is. But that's only if he has relations with her immediately after she becomes of age, and then he becomes the husband. That's how he would become the husband, because things get complex after once she reaches 12 years old. So at 12. They have relations. He becomes biblically the husband. Then he can annul the vow.
Any husband can annul a wife's vow.
Yes.
I forget if it's until nightfall or within 24 hours.
Does he need his wife's permission?
Yes.
No. You can annul a vow that has to do with their marriage, that would affect their marriage. They know.
But you didn't understand that the stand is a permission from his wife to let him know all the.
Okay. The Gemara says, "Va'in bal mefer b'kaidman." You can't annul a vow that came into the marriage. If a girl takes a vow, if a girl takes an oath, and then she gets married, this new husband cannot annul the vows that were taken before the marriage. Only vows that were taken after the marriage. Here, what type of marriage was it? It was a rabbinic marriage. It became biblical only after they had relations right after she became 12. And now he's trying to annul a vow that was taken before. How old is he?
He's 36.
He's 12.
We'll see. Wait. There's more to discuss. You'll see. Here we have Rav Pinchas. not so common. Rav Pinchas Mishmei de Rava, Damar Rav Pinchas Mishmei de Rava, Kol HaNederes Al Das Bailei Nederes. What's the pshat? Why does a husband? What gives the husband the ability to annul the vow? It's because she's only everything that she does is only with her husband's consent. She would take a vow. If my husband would agree, then this would be a vow. Therefore, the husband is able to annul it. If he comes home, he says, "No, I don't want you to take that vow," so he can annul it right away. Any vow that she took before she's married, she did not have her husband in mind when she took the vow.
His father allowed to.
The father also, but here it's a girl that's married. So,
But we're talking about before the marriage.
yeah, but here it's not really before the marriage, because here she was married before by her brothers. So she's married before. So we ask, but before the marriage, how does it work that the husband can annul the vow afterwards when he marries her? The answer is that even though this woman only had a rabbinic marriage, but nevertheless, when she took the vow, her intention was that with my husband, with my rabbinic husband's consent.
Even when she was a Kana,
Even she's a Tana, so as long as my husband will agree, now it's not really your husband, it's only a rabbinic husband, rabbinically the husband. So,
a male and a husband.
So,
Came from Russia.
so it's still going to work, even though it wasn't a biblical marriage, but her intention was still for her husband. Okay, we resolved it. A very interesting Gemara. Amar Abaya. Abaya says, Tashema. Come and listen. Katman Shleihevi Beisaris. A child that has not reached puberty. It doesn't have 2 pubic hairs. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, ain't Shumasi Truma. Rabbi Yehuda says if he takes Truma, it's not considered separated. Truma, because you have to separate some of the grain and give it to the Kohen. How much exactly? 1 out of 50 is usually 2 out of 100. Trei Mimeya is the word Truma. Trei Mimeya. 2 out of 100. 1 out of 50. That's the average. Rabbi Yosi says, hold it. You just made a statement that a child that takes truma, or someone that hasn't reached puberty, is not considered truma. It's not so clear. It depends if he's 12 years old. If he's 12 years old, then he's already able to take a vow. He's already able to consecrate items. So then, even though he's not bar mitzvah yet, but it's still truma, it's going to be. Savrua. The Gemara understands that Kasava Rabbi Yosi Truma Bisman Hazeh Deraisa. That Rabbi Yosi holds that Truma nowadays is a Deraisa. Now, Amrit, that the laws of Truma apply even after the destruction, biblically. Now, how is this going to work? If we say that a child taking a vow is also biblical law, that was Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish's opinion, that he's able to do it because he's already 12. So Asi Gavra Deraisa Masakan Tabla Deraisa. So a biblical man can rectify Truma, can take Truma, Deraisa, a biblical law. But if we say that a child that's 12, can all of his laws are only rabbinic, so someone that's only rabbinically an adult can rectify the grain, can fix the grain that needs a biblical rectification, that truma needs to be taken biblically. He doesn't have the status to be able to do that. So it's a kasha on the one that says that it's deraisa. It's a kasha on the one that says that, not the one that says, it's kasha on the one that says that it's muflas amachlish is only rabbinic, because truma is deraisa. Umar says like, that's not the way it is. Rabbi Yosi truma bismana said derabbanan. Rabbi Yosi holds truma nowadays is only rabbinic, so that resolves all of our issues, because whatever you say the child is, he can fix the rabbinic law. Gemara says, "V'savar Rabbi Yossi Shubim b'zman said the Rabbanan." Does Rabbi Yossi really hold that? Tanya b'Seder Olam, but we have a Bais and Seder Olam. Seder Olam is a book that has all of Jewish history up until the time of the Tanoim, and in there, it's famous for telling us how many Persian kings there were. But there are only 4 Persian kings, and the missing 168 years in Jewish history. This comes from Seder Olam.
It's not Josephus.
No.
Simple.
Yeah.
The word.
Seder Olam. Seder Olam is I don't know. Yechiel Halpern was more recent. Seder Olam is Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta. It's a student of Rabbi Akiva. So we have it. We have the Sefer, and over there, it's according to the conventional history, there were 10 kings. According to Jewish history, there are only 4 Persian kings. So according to Jewish history, the second Bais of English was 420 years. According to conventional history, it's 580 something years, which makes us much closer to the time of Mashiach, if you accept if year 6,000 is the end time. So how that discrepancy came about is a big discussion. Any Jewish historian has written something on this, trying to resolve it.
So the tradition is that book was sealed, was done at the time of Rabbi Yossi.
Yeah, that's Rabbi Yossi was the one that edited it. Yeah, so it's in that. Look at what we're doing here. We're quoting from Seder Olam, trying to prove Rabbi Yossi's opinion. It says in Seder Olam, Asher Yarshu Abisecha B'Yirishta Yerusha Rishayna Ushniya Yeshlem Slisha Sein Lehem, that you have to consecrate the land the first and second time, but the third time you don't have to. Why? Because the land was consecrated already from the time of the Jews came back in the days of Ezra. That means if the land is consecrated, that means that Truma is deraisa, is biblical. When Mashiach comes, we won't need to reconsecrate the land. It's already there. Rabbi Yochanan, Man Tana Seder Olam, and Rabbi Yochanan says, who's the author of Seder Olam? Rabbi Yossi. The Gemara answers, Rabbi Yossi Tani Lavalei Savala. That's what he wrote in his book, but he doesn't hold like that. That means that he collected this. It doesn't mean that it has to be his opinion. He was the collector of, Rashi here says, just like Stam Masnisin is Reb Meir, the Stam Seder Olam is Rabbi Yossi.
So Stam Sifri. Right?
Stam Sifri is Reb Shimon.
What is Rabbi Yossi?
Stam Sifra is Rabbi Yehuda. I don't have another thing. Some say the Olam. Some say that
Socrates is the man, not the philosopher.
You order Seder Olam already?
I was thinking about it.
no, but there are books that discuss this, like Jewish history and conflict and all of that is discussed. Okay. The Gemara says, it also makes sense to say this. Why? Because we're going to quote another Bais where we'll have Rabbi Yossi's opinion that will tell us that really Truma Bismana says the Rabbanan. The Tanya was starting to Bais, if I have dough, chulin dough, regular dough, but a little bit of Truma fell into it, or yeast of Truma was used to leaven it. So Truma is not obligated in challah. I don't have to. The kohen that owns the truma, or that's supposed to own the truma, does not have to separate challah and give it from challah goes to the kohen, give it to another kohen, or from one pocket to another pocket. It's exempt from challah. Truma is exempt from challah. Here he has dough, and it has a little bit of truma mixed in. So biblically, the truma is batal. Rabbinically, the truma is not batal. Everything biblically, everything is batal 1 and 2. You know, it's the majority it makes it batal. But we have rabbinic laws that make it more. It's not batal unless it's 1 in 100 for truma. So here it says this situation is hayebes b'chala. You have to take challah. because there's it's regular chulin. Yes, I have a little bit of truma in there, but it's regular chulin. And it's not considered truma that if a tvul yaim, someone that went to the mikvah already from his impurity and didn't wait for nightfall, would touch it. If it would be truma, it would become puzzle. It's a type of tumah. The end of the tumah, a lenient sort of tumah. It doesn't become puzzle because it's not considered truma. Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda. That's the opinion of Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon, Paichin min chala. They say it's exempt from chala. Savrua, the understanding was that Manda Amar Truma Deraisa, the one that holds Truma nowadays is Deraisa. So Chala Deraisa. Chala is also Deraisa. Manda Amar Truma Derabanan, and the one that says Truma is Derabanan, Chala Derabanan. So we're saying like this, that if it's exempt from Chala, it must be because Chala nowadays is only rabbinic. And this mixture has a status of Truma rabbinically. So the status of Truma rabbinically will remove the status of the obligation of Chala. And now what comes out? Rabbi Yossi holds that Truma and Chala is rabbinic. If we say that Rabbi Yossi holds Chala, the taking of Chala nowadays is only rabbinic. A rabbinic mixture of Truma and Chulin would come along and remove the obligation of Chala. But if we say Chala is a deraisa nowadays in the land of Israel, a rabbinic mixture is going to exempt you from a biblical law of Chala. Okay, all of this, there was an assumption here. In order to do this last paragraph that we just read, the assumption was that if Truma is rabbinic nowadays, then Chala is also rabbinic. If Truma is biblical, then Chala is going to be biblical. That was an assumption that we made. We made an assumption that all the laws of gifts to the Kohen that come from the ground, the grain or Chala, that you have to separate dough and give it to the Kohen. So we assume that it's all the same, all in the same status, but it's not necessarily so. The Gemara now says the way challah works. Nowadays we just take a pinch of dough and we burn it. But in the olden days, if it was a baker, you would have to take 1/24 of the dough and give it to the Kohen. If it was a homeowner, if it was a homeowner, he would have to take 1/24 of the dough. If it was a baker, he would have to take 1/48 of the dough, one out of 48, 1/48. And one part of 48 and give it to the Kohen. So where our assumption here is that whatever the status is of Truma, that's what the status is of Chala. The Gemara now says, V'dilma, but maybe, Rabbi Yossi, Truma b'zman hazeh deraisa, Chala derabanan. You proved from this Brisa, is it a Brisa? The Tanya, it's a Brisa, that Chala, according to Rabbi Yossi, is a derabanan. But you did not prove that Truma is a derabanan, because you could always say that they're different. Now, if Truma is not a derabanan, then Rabbi Yossi has there would be a problem, because Rabbi Yossi says that a katan can take Truma. A katan can take Truma, that must mean that it only fits with one opinion of a katan of muflasam machleish, but the 12-year-old child has a biblical status that his vows would have a biblical status. That's the only way that would work. We didn't want to restrict Rabbi Yossi to only one of those opinions. Okay, so now we're saying that maybe Truma is deraisa and Chal is derabanan. Ukeda hader Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua, and like Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua responded, Damar Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua, Rav Huna, the son of Rav Yeshua, says, this is a later Amayra. What's happening here is we have a machlekes between Rav Kahana, who's not over here in Israel, but he's over here, Rav Kahana, and Rav Yechon Reish Lakish, regarding the biblical or rabbinic status of a child that's 12, that's taking a vow. We have a discussion with Rabbi Yossi. What's Rabbi Yossi's opinion regarding Truma nowadays. We had a machlekes between Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda, who held the same opinion regarding Chala, that it's deraisa, and we have Reb Yosi and Reb Shimon that agree that Chala is rabbinic. We're discussing now what would be regarding Truma according to Reb Yosi. If he would hold that Truma is rabbinic, then we've resolved a lot of issues, but we're not really sure that he holds that.
I understand. Four of those rabbis who tell me to make
Rabbi
Rabbi
Akiva.
Akiva. So, don't you think they would follow the same opinion?
No, that's the whole thing that they were fighting over which opinion is right. That's what they were all arguing about.
No, these are the leftover
Right.
rabbis. Not so these are the good guys.
So they were the good guys, bad guys.
No, it says
guys.
these were the ones that came after. So that's how it works. But what I wanted to point out is Rav Huna Breder of Yeshua. Rav Huna Breder of Yeshua is a later Amira on the same generation as her Papa. So it's the Hadar Rav Huna Breder of Yeshua, Dam Rav Huna Breder of Yeshua, Ashtachtin Ola Rabbanan de Beirav. He says, I found the rabbis that were in the yeshiva of Rav. Look at all these generations. This is Rav up here on the top. And Rav Huna Breder of Yeshua says, I found the rabbis of the yeshiva of Rav. The yeshiva must have lasted a long time. That the Yasvi V'Kamri, that they were sitting and they were saying, even according to the opinion that holds Truma nowadays is the Rabbanan, but Chala is the Araisa. But Chala could be biblical. Exactly the opposite. We wanted to say Chala. Shaharei, this is what they were saying. So Sheva Shekav Sheva Sheva Shechalku, Neschayva B'Chala. Chala is a very unique halacha. You read the verse, it says, "V'vayachem al aretz, v'chisavayu al aretz, v'vayachem al aretz." When you come into the land, what does it mean when you come into the land? It means that immediately when they came into the land, they're already chayav, as opposed to everything else that they had to wait for the 7 years of conquering, 7 years of dividing. It has a uniqueness. So we're saying that, look, during those 7 years of conquering, 7 years of dividing, they were already chayav and chalav, lenis chayav b'maiser, but you weren't chayav and maiser, including truma, until after the conquering. But Rav Huna Breder Yeshua said back, I say, Chalas derabanan. I say it exactly the opposite. Why? The Tanya. It was taught in a brisa. If it's when you come into the land, maybe entering the land is from the time the spies came into the land. It's when all of you come into the land. Only when you all enter the land and not when some of you enter the land. And what happened by the second Bais Hamikdash when they came back? Ezra, and when Ezra brought them up, like Kulu Salak, not everyone came up. It was only 42,360, I think was the number that came back. And so therefore, Chala, you're not going to be Chayav biblically, only rabbinically, but Truma, that can still be Chayav biblically. So therefore, it's going to come out is that we don't really have a response for Rabbi Yosi to say that Truma is rabbinic. Even though we've proved, yes, that Chala is rabbinic, the Truma could still be deraisa. You have time, yeah?
By the way, this mission answers why Steinsaltz has a fig on the cover.
The following Mishnah, very good. Yeah, we had that question all along. Why is there a fig on the front cover on this?
Oh yeah, they show up to this.
This is a fig. Okay, that's because of this Mishnah.
You have to.
What happened?
Give him the trophy.
A trophy.
Because you have to figure it out.
Only a British.
Okay. Mashal Chachamim Be'isha. The sages gave an example for a woman. Excuse me. An example goes like this. It's an example of the development of the stages of a fig. It says Paga is an unripe fig. That's those that learn Hilchos Brachos. There's something called smother about grapes, very young grapes. So Paga is that young stage. Beichel means as it's ripening, and Tzamal means it's already ripe. So there's unripe, ripening, and ripe. Paga, what does it mean that a woman is unripe? Identity, she's still a child. Beichel, she's ripening. Eily neura. How do they translate neura? Or youth, but it's not youth. It's adolescent. What do they say? Neura. Her Nairis period. Oh, that's a big help. Big help. Her Nairis. Okay. Bazu. Amru, regarding these two stages, it's been said of Zakai b'mitziusa that her father keeps any object that she finds. If she finds a lost object, it belongs to the father. Or Maisi Aden, if she goes to work, it belongs to her father. Bafarsan and Dara and Baran, her father can annul her vows. Tzamal, once she's ripe, Kivan Shabagra, once she reaches maturity, Shuvain Lavir Rishuspa, the father has no rights over her. Ezer Simanim, what are the Simanim to show what the stages are? Rabbi Aglili, he says, this is in the age of Rabbi Akiva's students. He says when there's a fold underneath the breast, that means she's already matured to that level that it looks like there's a fold there. Rabbi Akiva, when the breast will lean, it's also matured. When the area on the top of the breast turns dark, the areola probably. Rabbi Yosi says, Rabbi Yosi, that's Rabbi Yosi that we just had. Rabbi Yosi says that if you would push the nipple inside and it delays it before it comes back out, that's already reached the age of maturity. It's interesting. Ben Azai. Was Ben Azai the one that wasn't married? Ben Zoyma or Ben Azai? Who was it?
They say Ben Azai married Rabbi Akiva's daughter.
Ben Azai.
They say. Then there's some that say he never got married.
We'll see. We'll have a discussion. Interesting Gemara here. Paga. We said the unripe fig. The fig is chanta is like it's just beginning to when the blossom falls off and you're just left with that original the very early stage of the fruit. Boichel, ripening Eily mianurim. This is the days of Naras, the adolescence. As it says, the figs when they're beginning to ripen. Amar Rabbi bar Rav Chana, Amar Rav. Rabbi bar Chana says the name of Rav. This is first cousin once removed. That Mishayal ben Rashayim, when the top of it is white. We're talking about the figs. We're talking about the stages of figs. So okay. Some say from here. Vatiktzar nafshi bahem, v'gam nafsham bachalabi. My soul is like disgusted and grew in disgust. Bachla is like growing in. So we're using the word bachal as in to grow. Tzamal, kamandam yat tzamalaya. Tzamal is like a condensed word of yatzitz malaya. The mem lamed is the malaya, and the tzaddik is the yatzitz.
No, the fig to the girls.
Yeah. Tzamal is a contraction of yatzitz malaya. Be'ezu simanim, what are the signs? Or basically, basically it says when there's a fold under the breast. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says, late Mishiala Kemet Mamish. Doesn't mean when there's actually a fold there. If she would stretch her hands backwards, so then it would look like there's a fold under the breast. Not that there actually is. Shmuel, a crease. Shmuel, Badak Ba'amse, Yovla Dal Zuzit Mebasta. Shmuel checked his maidservant, and he gave her 4 zuz for embarrassment. He paid her for the embarrassment. He was doing experimentation. And so he paid her. Shmuel Lateme, this goes according to Shmuel's opinion. Shmuel holds that a non-Jewish slave, they work for you forever. What does it mean? They do work, but not to embarrass them. Shmuel miyachad lehem. Shmuel would designate a slave for them to be with, to marry. In other words, the maidservants had a designated slave that would be their spouse, their partner. Rav Nachman Machlef, and Rav Nachman would exchange one with the other. They would exchange their partners. Rav Sheshes Masalem La Rabbi, Rav Sheshes would even give them to, strangers, Arabs that were coming around. Ramalem Yisdaru Mi Yisrael, don't live with the Jewish girls. That's what he would tell to the Arabs. Rabbi Yossi Yomer,
That's that already. Yeah.
Rabbi Yossi Yomer. Yeah, I guess I should stop rather than rush. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
This mentioning of the areola.
Yeah.
Normally that happens just for it's the sign that a woman is pregnant. So I don't know what it means. Yeah, it's the giveaway.
Uh-huh.
So if they tell you they were never pregnant, because they were pregnant, it lost
Have a good
the
day.
baby, you got